Hey guys, welcome back to Easy Breezy Vegan, where I make veganism easy breezy to digest. Now, if you ask most people whether they support cruelty to animals, they would say, definitely not, unless they're some sort of psychopath. But a lot of people don't realize or don't make the connection that a lot of things that they consider completely normal are contributing to animal cruelty, like people's diets, for instance. Most people eat animal products which causes harm and suffering to animals, and although a lot of people are aware of this, they aren't ready or are unwilling to change their eating habits. They say things like, I don't want to hurt animals, but I could never go vegan. Well, I don't even eat that much meat. I alone wouldn't make that much of a difference anyways. Going vegan is a little bit extreme, I think. I like the taste of meat too much. I could never give up cheese. I wouldn't even know what to eat. I really don't like vegetables that much. I have gut issues and allergies and can only eat meat, etc., etc. Now, I would obviously prefer if everyone would just give up eating animal products and start living a vegan lifestyle, but I know that changing eating habits can seem totally daunting, and some people just aren't ready to make that change, or are wanting to make changes to their diet more gradually. There are also some people who might have some underlying health issue that severely restricts their diet, but the truth is that there's so many other things that you could do to reduce your harm to animals, and that's what I'll be covering in this video. Now, the things that I'll be covering in this video are great ways to reduce animal suffering, but above all of these things, the number one thing that you can do is switching to a plant-based vegan diet. So if you're not ready to make the switch, or you are planning to switch gradually, these are things you can do without having to change your diet. But still, the best thing you can do for animals is to stop eating them. Yeah, but I'm not ready to stop eating them. And not being ready to stop eating them is no reason to continue supporting these other industries if you want to help reduce animal suffering. Okay, that's fair. Now, before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure to share this video as well with vegan and non-vegan friends alike. One simple lifestyle change is to avoid buying leather. Leather is touted as being luxurious and durable, but in all reality, it's just the skin of another being, which sounds crazy when you really think about it. Look at my brand new belt made entirely from the epidermis of a dead baby cow. Now that's luxury. Now I get it. Leather is really durable, and that's one reason why people like it, but I just don't see this as a reasonable justification for causing harm to animals. We live in a world with so many vegan leather alternatives, and there are so many other fabric options available to us that leather is just completely unnecessary. I no longer purchase leather items, and it's really not hard to find everything that I need. Now, I'm not asking you to throw away every single leather item you have and replace these items with vegan items right away. Oh, good, because everything I own is leather. Well, except for this outfit, of course. I mean, even I still currently own leather products. Now, I phased out a lot of leather items that I owned, but some things just take a while to phase out. We were able to replace our leather couch and things like shoes, belts, wallets, and purses, but we still have dining chairs with leather seats that we know we'll replace eventually, but we just haven't been able to do so yet. Boycotting leather is a really easy change to make, so reduce harm to animals and stop buying leather today. All right, fine. No more leather. What's next? Another way to avoid cruelty to animals is by avoiding zoos. Now, I know what you're gonna say. Zoos educate people and they help support conservation efforts. Yeah, but keeping animals locked in confinements for most or all of their lives is an unnecessary and totally cruel way to accomplish those goals. Now, contrary to what most people believe, the majority of animals in zoos are not endangered and are not being rehabilitated to be released back into the wild. You mean they just stay locked up their entire lives? Most zoo animals were either stolen from their homes or were bred into captivity. A lot of zoos will breed captive animals under the guise of species preservation, but it is nearly impossible to release captive bred animals into the wild. So captive breeding might seem like a great way to fight against dwindling animal populations, but if these animals can never be successfully reintroduced into the wild, then it really doesn't help their population. A better way to help combat dwindling populations is to attack the root causes of the problem, which are habitat destruction, poaching, and the exotic animal trade. And we definitely don't need to lock animals in confinement in order to educate people about animals. We teach kids about dinosaurs, yet there are no dinosaurs kept in cages. Touché. Now look, I know how fun zoos can be. I used to visit them all the time. But even though I loved getting to see the animals, there was always a little sadness that I felt for the animals who were stuck in those small enclosures. I used to go to zoos because I love animals, but now I boycott zoos because I love animals. And if you want to do more to help support wild animals, you can donate to organizations that help preserve habitats or to nonprofit sanctuaries. I'll make sure to include a couple links to these organizations in the description below. Another thing you can do to reduce animal suffering, other than changing your diet, is boycotting circuses that use live animals as entertainment. Oh, but circuses are so exciting! Yes. Seeing a lion jump through a ring of fire, or seeing an elephant balance on one leg, or seeing a monkey riding a bicycle might seem super fun and enjoyable, but it is anything but enjoyable for the animals. Circus animals suffer a lifetime of confinement, abuse, and stress. Circuses travel on average 48 weeks out of the year, and during that time, the animals are all confined to super small cages just big enough to turn around in. And when these animals are brought out from these cages, it's in order to train or to perform. And the standard method of training circus animals is through physical punishment. Bull hooks, whips, tight collars, muzzles, and electric prods are used to physically punish the animals until they learn to get the tricks right. Along with physical punishment, food and water are also withheld from these animals to keep them scared and submissive. That's totally f***ed up. Yeah. So the next time you see a bear balancing on a ball and you think, wow, that's amazing, I wonder how they get them to do that, just know that it wasn't because the animal wanted to. It was because the animal was forced and trained to do so through starvation, dehydration, and physical punishment. Wow, that really bums me out. I feel like my entire childhood is a lie. Now, keeping on the same thread, don't support SeaWorld and other places like it. SeaWorld forces whales, dolphins, walruses, seals, otters, and other animals to perform tricks. These animals are kept in small concrete pools filled with chlorinated water. For an orca, who in nature can swim up to 100 miles a day, being confined to a tank is equivalent to a person being confined to a bathtub. Oh my gosh, that would totally suck! The animals kept in these tanks suffer from extreme boredom and are given anti-anxiety medication to counteract the stress of captivity and the monotony of swimming around in endless circles. Many of these animals exhibit signs of stress by banging their heads, trying to chew through the bars and walls of their tanks, and by attacking fellow animals in their tanks, and attacking trainers. These animals end up dying prematurely than what their natural lifespans are. To date, 49 orcas and 58 belugas have died at SeaWorld, and there have been 62 dolphin deaths in the last 10 years alone. There are so many fun activities to do with your family, so make sure to cross SeaWorld off of your family vacation bucket list. Done and done. While we're on the topic of avoiding places that exploit sea animals by keeping them confined to small, unnatural concrete tanks, let's talk about aquariums. Aquariums, in theory, are awesome, and I remember really enjoying them. They're so beautiful, and it's really cool to get to see sea animals up close and personal without even having to get wet. But aquariums are just aquatic zoos. These animals are kept in relatively small tanks and can get bored and frustrated. In an effort to try and emulate the diversity of the ocean, different species are often kept together, which leads to predatory animals attacking or eating their tank mates. Their own tank mates? Aquariums are often touted as providing education, but a better way to go about this would be to provide sanctuaries for animals who cannot return to the wild, rather than capturing and confining perfectly healthy animals or breeding them into captivity. Now, I know how fun it is to get to see animals, but if your love for animals is what's driving you to go to an aquarium, then instead let your love for animals drive you to avoid supporting companies and institutions which seek to exploit animals. Now, I already talked about avoiding leather, but another animal product you should avoid is fur. Fur is essentially no different from leather, as they are both skin from an animal. Fur just happens to be super furry. Fur is seen as one of the most luxurious clothing items, and while you're probably thinking that you don't really own fur, because let's get real, who really owns a fur coat nowadays? Not me, I'm not that bougie. But a lot of things oftentimes have fur trimming, such as beanies, jackets, gloves, and boots. It's obvious why people like fur. It's super soft, it's snuggling, it feels really nice to touch it. But again, it's an animal's skin.
It's their skin.
Could you imagine someone making anything out of your skin? Like, how would you feel if somebody skinned you after you died and made you into a purse? I wouldn't feel anything because I'd be dead. Duh. It's just totally creepy. Not to mention, these poor animals are bred into a life of isolation and confinement. So let's ditch the fur and stop viewing wearing someone else's skin as a luxury. Wool is another animal product that unnecessarily exploits animals. Lambs produce wool, and because we've selectively bred them to produce unnatural quantities of wool, they have to be sheared to avoid overheating in summer. But Just because an animal produces something doesn't mean that we should then turn around to make a profit from it, and then turn around and breed more sheep into existence to continue making profits from their wool. I mean, my dog sheds a lot of fur, like a lot of fur, like a pretty rude amount of hair. But I don't collect her fur or shave her fur and then sell it and then breed more dogs to continue the process. I just clean up the fur and let her be a dog. Now you're probably thinking that you don't own a lot of wool, and I had never really thought about it much before I went vegan either, but wool is in so many things. It's in blankets, beanies, jackets, slippers, yarns, hats, sweaters, heck, even most suits are made from wool. And these animals endure a lot of abuses during their lives, such as mulesing, which is the removal of skin from around their tail and anus. They get their tails docked or cut off, and they get castrated, and they get their horns cut off or burned. And all of this happens without any pain relief. And then they have to go through the stress of being sheared, which is usually done in haste by workers who are just trying to go as quickly as possible to make as much money as possible. So reduce animal suffering and say bye to wool. Yeah, I made a punny, I'm sorry, but you can learn more about the wool industry by clicking on the link to my video, which I'm shamelessly plugging above. So this pretty much sums up some of the main things that you can avoid supporting in order to reduce your impact on animal suffering. A good rule of thumb to live by is to avoid paying for anything that exploits or uses an animal. If you're traveling abroad, don't pay for elephant, camel, and donkey rides. Don't give money to performing monkeys. Don't pay for carriage rides. Don't pay to swim with dolphins. And don't pay to see elephants paint. So if you aren't ready to, or you have health concerns which keep you from eating a vegan diet, you can still avoid all the things I went over in this video. Don't let not being able to eat a vegan diet keep you from living a vegan lifestyle in all other aspects of your life. And if you don't have a ton of gut issues or allergies that keep you from eating a fully vegan diet, then don't stop at just giving up the things that I covered in this video. Keep pushing yourself to remove more and more animal products from your diet until you're completely plant-based. Now, hopefully this video gave you some ideas on how you can reduce your impact on animal suffering. Let me know what you're doing to avoid supporting industries that inflict cruelty to animals in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure to take it easy breezy and be vegan. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!